Good morning, Tracy. It's time for Pivot Point Live. It's been a couple of weeks since we've gotten together. How's things been going?
Oh, things have been super, super busy, but it's just the way it's busy on the right things, right? I mean, so it feels good. I just for our viewership, it makes me feel bad that weren't able to show up as our uh, we had to do a little rerun. So I am thankful to be back and glad to get to see you again.
Yeah. So, been an interesting few weeks.
Uh huh.
What are we talking about today? I have no clue.
Okay, so Paul, I was thinking about. Um, I think it's Patrick Lencioni has a book out on how horrible team meetings can become, and we got a couple of different directions we can go. Like death by team meeting is one, but also like we're really what I'd like to do. I think this would help our business owners that maybe they're not even having a meeting because team meetings suck. So why do team meetings suck? That's what I'd like to uncover a little bit and just find out from your point of view, from my point of view, and the people that you've helped to maybe improve their team meetings, and if maybe a company is not even having a team meeting, how could they get one off the ground? What would be some best practices? So we got a lot of latitude, a lot of room, a lot of rope that we could go out and either tie a knot and hang on or tie a noose.
So I'm suspecting our end point is to create effective meetings at the end of this by the time we're done,
That's what
correct?
I think. I think a lot of businesses would do well by having effective meetings.
All right.
So maybe we could start out at why are some of the reasons why maybe that you've heard of why team meetings suck and they're just dead. They're dead, and really when people are coming to a team meeting like, ugh, we got this meeting on Monday morning and so forth. What do you think?
So, less of what I think. I like to ask you some questions.
Okay, let's
because
roll.
because at the end of the day, I know over the past month you've been like inundated with meetings.
Uh
So
huh.
so let's do a little post-mortem of those meetings. And what's the worst part of those meetings for you at this particular point? I'm gonna make a little adjustment on my screen here.
Well, you just said the word. You just said the word. No point. When there's no point to the meeting at all.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
that makes
so
sense.
you come away. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna push this client around. I'm gonna do this differently to where I can, be at this meeting and I'm gonna be on time or I'm gonna be a couple of minutes early. And you get there and it just seems pointless. Like, why am I here? Why did I spend an hour or 45 minutes for this meeting?
Okay. Anything else that you've grafted from all these meetings you've been in the
Yes,
past couple of weeks?
yes.
Let's just go through the list.
Okay. Because I have a list, and they all begin with P's.
Paul,
Because
Paul ruins your meetings? What?
no, 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 and if I could have put this together in a, I think it angers people. I know it angers me when number one, there's no purpose to the meeting.
Hmm.
We're just having a meeting because that's what we're supposed to do at this time on Thursdays, or there's no planning behind the meeting. And you can tell when the person who's supposed to be engineering the agenda, like, hey guys, let's just, it's good to see everybody, let's have some wins, and like, okay, yeah, and I think that's important, but I think you ought to check in, but then it just goes nowhere from there. We spent 45 minutes about wins, and then I think there's no productivity, nothing. I mean, like, it was distractions. It was one distraction, one story, one yarn after the other. Everybody was talking, but nothing was being productive. And then the worst case scenario would be there's no participation.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like, everybody's there, but no one knows what to say, or worse, they fear to say anything because they're going to get called out, or they're going to get beat down by one or two in the group or something like that. So they're afraid to say anything because maybe it's not as much value, or they'll be berated on Zoom, and that's not how they want to start out their morning or close their afternoon or whatever. So those are a couple of, so no point, no purpose, no planning, no productivity, and no participation. And a meeting like that, if it's got one or all or some of those, is enough to make somebody upset and like, like, yeah, I think I'm sick. Sorry, guys, I won't be able to make it. Just because, like, my son has a shirt and it says, sorry, I was late. I didn't want to come.
I like that shirt.
Yes. And it really describes for me, I mean, why people don't show up. Why do they show up late for work? Or why do they show up late to the meeting? Why do they miss the meeting at all? Because they don't want to be there. And it's likely because of one of these things. So that's my list. What are your thoughts? Do you have any additions to the list or anything to add on to the list?
Actually, I really don't, because I think it kind of cleared the whole gamut of feelings that go on in meetings. But so the problem isn't the meeting.
Mm,
The problem is the people and the
mm.
process. That's it,
Ooh,
it
there you
kind of
go.
goes back. It kind of goes back to your point. Having a meeting just to have a meeting is pointless.
Yes.
Having a meeting to make decisions on issues or
Hmm.
strategies or tactics, to confirm those is absolutely important. So
Hmm.
there needs to be stakeholders in the meeting, right?
Hmm.
And there needs to be preparation before the meeting. One of the rules of, I guess, the rules of Ruthier is, if there's a problem, make sure that you come with two solutions,
Yeah.
right? You've heard me say that before.
Yep. Absolutely.
Um, and so agenda, right?
Yep.
We
I,
and agenda is not a list of things or spots in the meeting that are going to be talked to. It's a list of real issues that need decisions.
hmm.
And those decisions need already to be researched
Yeah.
by the stakeholders of those particular issues, or the owners of those issues.
Mm,
The meeting should be about finalize finalization of a strategy, not, because all that back and forth can happen before the meeting,
mm.
right? I mean, pop an
In the
issue, any
prepper.
issue, just knock an issue, throw one at me.
Um, it's a people issue. So I've got somebody on the team, and I'm wondering if they should even be on there because they said that they could utilize technology, and you get them in there, and man, they're just really super slow, and I'm not sure they're going to get it. And I don't know. I mean, like, do we coach them some more, or do we let them go? Because I really need that. It's a critical part of the business.
All right. So, and you had a lot of one-on-ones or coaching through this person, right? And
We
you've already
well, we
kind of
had
done your homework.
they've been with us for 60 days,
Okay.
and we told them, even in our job description it says that you've got to be familiar with Zoom and Slack and certain computer software that we have and operate. And they claim that they were, but we come onto it and they're not utilizing it, which makes me think that they don't know how to. And so it slows down the communication process. We have to physically go to this person. Now, she's a little bit older, and maybe there's a story in there I don't think we've uncovered, but we've coached her 2 times on it. And it seems to be, like, she'll say things like, uh, not the old dog, new trick thing, but similar statements like, oh, I hate computers, like stuff like that. Like, and I'm just wondering, this doesn't seem, I mean, this is a software company you came to. You can't be saying, I hate computers, because this is what we do.
All right. So you went down the HR route, which is not really a team meeting. It's formulating
Well,
a plan of action. So I mean, effectively, what you would do is, if you have HR, you would go to HR, discuss this issue with HR. You would coordinate with HR to build a PIP, or a performance improvement plan, for that particular individual. And you have all that prepped before you set the meeting with the individual, the final meeting, to kind of discuss their lack of performance. and
Mm-hmm.
then be well prepared to present a performance improvement plan with a timeline of execution on that plan
Mm-hmm.
and be fully prepared for that meeting. But I kind of don't want to go there. I want to
Well,
go
yeah.
to a team
So
situation.
okay, so I was thinking of it more in like we got 25 people that work for us. We've got 5 people that are supposed to show up. We don't really have an HR. We have a hiring manager, and they're kind of like HR, and they
Yep.
kind of take care of that, but they double as the front of the office too. They're almost office admin too, but because there's a lot of moving parts, and we got 2 people out in the field and for computer repair and stuff like that, but we also have software that we're running, and so like we just get together with 5 people from the organization so you got the owner, you got the guy who's over the guys out in the field, you got the office admin, hiring manager person, what you would call the HR, and we have 2 other people that are involved in those meetings, like the
Yeah.
CFO and the COO.
And I get that. But the thing is if you're going to have a negative, it's kind of a negative meeting. It's a performance improvement meeting that is centered around one person. All the other people are eliminated. You do negative meetings or calls for performance as a
Boom.
one-on-one, and
Okay.
and you scream everybody's positives in a group meeting, right?
Hmm.
You cheer them on in a group. You discipline one-on-one. You
Hmm.
cannot do the same. It's a very interesting subject because I just ran into this issue yesterday. So
Yeah.
it's apropos for me that it's even if you have a problem. Let's say we're gonna go down this rabbit hole because I think it's important. But let's say you're in a group. You're doing a project as a group,
Hmm.
okay? And somebody screws up in the group. Now you get this guy who flames everybody in an email or flames one person and carbon copies everybody else's
Yes. Right.
email,
Right.
right? That's
Hmm.
that one, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you accomplishing with that
Hmm.
scenario?
Yeah.
You've just taken your team morale and thrown it through the floor. Or
Mhm.
even worse, you've created 4 against 1.
Yep.
Okay, now everybody is talking about Billy and how bad Billy is at his business, at doing business. And Billy
Hmm.
sucks at this, and Billy sucks at that. And now you're creating almost a bullying environment
Yeah.
and it's toxic.
Yep. You've chipped
Okay.
away at the team's confidence in one person, and
And
now
and
everybody's against them.
and you made yourself look like a fool, by the way.
Hmm.
So
Hey, can we this might be beneficial. I like this like little role play that we have, like where you're giving me like the best practices, like as a coach or a consultant might do. So Paul, what we have in our organization is basically the 5 main leaders. We got 25 in our organization. This lady Barbara is one. She's only really newly hired, kind of introductory, been with us for 60 days. And what our leader Paul has told us to do is you bring, everybody bring one issue that they have going on, and we can talk about it in this meeting. And that's the agenda.
okay.
So like, yeah, so it's a poor agenda. It's not the right, it's certainly not the best practice, but we end up, and then sometimes, Paul, all we're doing is we're just talking about our people, and we never really made progress on the main things that are generating revenue or customers or something like that. We're just talking about people.
Yeah. So the problem there isn't the meaning, it's the process, right? I mean,
Yep.
going back, you don't have a process. You don't have a process to deal with issues. Uh, uh, you, based on what you just said, you don't have any quarterly goals that you're targeting,
Mhm.
and quarterly project points that you're targeting any,
Metrics that we're following.
metrics that you're following. I can already tell by the way you kind of said that is that you don't have any of this stuff in place. So, one of the key things is you got to figure out 4 things that you want to accomplish over the quarter, right? Who's going to own those, right? And then what tasks need to be done to get those.
Hmm.
And then it is within a task that you have a problem or an issue that you need other people's help on, and you bring them in via email, or you need everybody's support to work through that particular problem, and you go back and forth with that, and then when you get to the meeting, right, because you need to talk about it and finalize it, because you're looking to the meeting to get agreement on a particular direction. And so now you've got all this backup, and everybody's well researched and informed about the situation. They know what they need to make decisions on. None of that pre discussion stuff is going to happen at the meeting. That's all before the meeting. So then you come into the meeting with your list of finalizations, right? And it takes 15 minutes.
Wow. Paul, you mean to tell me that a team meeting, like with the leaders, if it's prepared correctly on the front end, should take 15 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. All those pre-discussions
Paul, we're
should
taking
have
an hour, sometimes 90 minutes.
No. That goes to, because a lot of these, if there is a target point for these issues, which is those quarterly goals, then you're not playing with a shotgun anymore. You're playing with a rifle. Okay, because it's very clear. Is this in scope of the meeting or out of scope of the meeting? And then you can run the meeting. You can go, oh, sorry, put a pin in that. That's not what we're here to discuss. That's for a different meeting or a different time, and we need to do some preparation for that. That does not impact what we're here to discuss today.
Paul, that sounds like a meeting that I would want to be participating in, because 15 minutes to come in and feel like we got somewhere, and it didn't take forever to do it. Like we actually, we reported on the numbers. Now we all know what the numbers are. We reported on the measurables. If there's something coming up that we have to deal with, that sounds like it's bang, bang, bang. And now I can get back to my team, or I can get back to my project.
Well, let's think about the four goals, right? I mean, once it's planned out, this is the conversation. Goal number 1, are we on track, off track? We're on track. Great. Goal number 2, are we on track or off track? On track. Great. Goal number 3, are we on track, off track? We're off track. What's the issue? Oh, it's right here. We've already researched it. Here, we have 3 options, A, B, and C. Guys, do we agree that we should do option C based on everybody's reading of this issue? Yes, let's do option C. Great, done. We're doing option C. Billy, run with option C. If you have any more issues, make sure you keep us informed on Teams or on Slack or whatever your platform is. Goal number 4, on track, off track. Great, on track. Got any old business to deal with from last week? No? Good. Any new business beyond that? If it's new business, well, we have a problem with this, this, and this. Which goal does it impact? Oh, well, none of the goals up on the board. It's just standard operations daily. It's great. That's a different meeting. Let's take care of that in the operations meeting on Wednesday. Anything else, guys?
Yeah.
No? Good. We'll see you guys later. Have a great day.
Okay. So Paul, you just broke down a very simple framework. Is there like, do you guys, like when you coach and consult for others, starting off the meeting, hey, we always start on time, or we wait for somebody to show up and then we start the meeting, we just jibber jabber until they show up, or like, hey, we start on time, we do it just a round table check-in, no more than 1 minute. Is it timed? How much time are you going to commit to each thing? What kind of a framework would be, because you just walk kind of through it as if you've done it, and it sounded really good, because in our organization we don't have that kind of framework. And then, of course, I've heard the adage, weak minds talk about people, and that's what we're doing. And I know we're better than this.
Yeah. Well, that's again goes back to, like, what are you striving to accomplish in your quarter? And that's what you should be talking about, right? You're not talking about people. You're talking about the wins, as you said, very important. Okay. The roadblocks, mitigations, contingencies, milestones met, milestones not met. But all that data should be held somewhere that everybody has access to it. So everybody is already pre-informed on the decision that they need to make in the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's something that needs to be discussed by the group because the owner of that particular initiative needs help.
Mm.
There's an obstacle there that they can't overcome within their ownership of that organizational initiative.
So I was thinking, so I was talking, or I was writing some things down as you were setting that up, and I was just thinking about the ideas that you've shared so far for that would help me. And of course, this is fictitious, everybody, but that helps me in my organization set an agenda and prepare for that agenda before you get to there. Have a framework for the meeting. I had a little. One of the things you were talking about helped me to understand to stay on topic, because sometimes we get off topic. Like we started talking about this, and like somebody around the table just said, "Oh yeah, that's like," and you said maybe a little bit ago, you said put a pin in that. Let's talk about that offline, or let's talk about that at another meeting, so that we can stay on topic. Another thing that I jotted down that I thought was really helpful, what you mentioned, it sounded more like a dialogue and not a monologue. Like somebody was responsible for moderating, but everybody got to talk.
Well, yeah, because you've created responsibilities within in the goal structure. I don't own all the goals.
Yeah, right.
Each and every department head owns a goal, or employee, if it doesn't matter. Is you have a specific set of goals and metrics that you set for each of those. That particular meeting, and there's many different meetings, right? There's operational meetings, there's sales meetings, there's
Mm-hmm.
depending on their HR has meetings, but the framework of that meeting is the same ubiquitously across departments. And then, if the department heads are meeting with the CEO, they have higher level initiatives that they're speaking to and own. So it's like a Christmas tree, right? There's the task widen at the bottom and the initiatives close going up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So each initiative builds into the next initiative,
Mm-hmm.
into the top initiative. So if my initiative as CEO is to increase the revenue by 20% this year, $2 million, I need to understand, okay, what do I need to do to get there? I know that I may have, depending on what sales quotas look like and how efficient my sales team is, I might have to add a couple of salespeople. I might have to add a couple of operations people to be able to deliver on that $2 million. So I've got all these initiatives, which means HR is going to have a project to hire 4 people, 2 sales, 2 operations.
Mm.
Operations is going to have an initiative to make sure that their infrastructure is set up to handle the 2 additional, and that they have all the processes and tools that they need. They're going to have a project on that. Sales needs to make sure their sales processes operating at efficiency, so we have clear numbers, so that we can bring in 2 new salespeople, get them trained and ramped as quickly as humanly possible to start building and ramping the revenue to get to my objective. Okay, it's a Christmas tree. My objective is one, it's at the top, and then the objectives span out at the bottom.
Mm. One of what I was thinking of when you were sharing that was I went back in time to now I'm out of the role play here, but I went back in
Yeah.
time to one of the consulting jobs that I had for 2 quick service restaurants, and we were trying to help them bring together and format their team meeting. So we had 2 separate stores, but we had one mission. We had with these 2 separate stores, even though they were 15 miles away from each other. But one thing that we did that I found was very effective at the end of the meeting, everybody went around. We went around the table and said, "Okay, what's your next steps? What's your next step?" So everybody had to report to where everybody knew, like because of the meeting. You mentioned about the milestones met or unmet. maybe it was a milestone that was in my department or in somebody else's department. They're reporting on that, like, okay, by next meeting, I'm going to have this done. That's my next step. Okay, great. What's your next step? What's your or takeaway? And then one thing that I thought was interesting is we started doing, we rated the meeting 1 to 5,
Well,
5 being the
absolutely.
best.
Yep.
Like, and that way, like if we find, and we recorded it, we recorded the data, like, hey, all month long we had a rating of 3. Well, that's kind of middle of the road. Why are we not a 4 or a 5? Something, what do we need to do to ramp up the meeting to where we enjoy being here in the same room? Because the most important subject that we do, or meeting that we have, is the one with the higher level leaders reporting on the milestones, the measurables, the targets, that's going to get us to the ultimate goal.
Yeah. So one of the things, two things that are really important that I strive for. Okay. And number one is to have no red in my ledger. Okay. I don't like red in my ledger. So
Yeah.
when I get to the meeting, I don't want to see red in my ledger. So I want to have things that are slowing the projects down or putting that, red, which means that there's a problem with any particular task or initiative in our system that we use. It shows up red, which means it's behind. I don't like red in my ledger.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I do is I review the ledger the day before the meeting and make sure that I'm pinging everybody to see where things are at and to make sure that it's not red because you forgot to check it green
Yep.
or because it's behind, because we do everything date specific, right? And so if it's past the date, it's going to red, and if it's the day before the date, it's yellow. I look for yellows and reds in the system every morning. Actually, I don't just do that the day before the meeting, and then I reach out to that particular individual and I go, okay, this is due tomorrow. Is there anything you need help with? Can I facilitate anything for you to get this completed? So
Yeah.
my goal number one is to have 0 red in my ledger for the meeting. So we're on track, off track. The other thing is you need to timestamp your meeting. Okay. So you're gonna, you allow 5 minutes for bonding at the start of the meeting. Wins, bonding, all that good kind of stuff. At the end of the 5 minutes, it's over. You're on
Yeah.
to the next subject, right? Then you allow time for everybody to report. Yeah, the wins, we're on schedule, on track, and we have any business from the last meeting that is incomplete should be in there, and we go through that and finalize anything that we need to, and then new business, new issues or new things, which by the way are already researched by the entire team because we knew with the agenda that we were going to be talking about these things, and everybody gets educated in front, so there are no real questioning. It's more about decision making. Okay. We don't need to explore the topic in the meeting. We need to explore the topic before the meeting so that we're educated in the meeting and can make decisions.
So the attitude coming in, so the attitude coming into the approach to if you want to have powerful meetings, the way that you prepare for it and the way that you approach it, to where it's like, hey, these are my buddies and a pal. Yeah, we do that for 5 minutes, but then we got to report on measurables. So what would be the right attitude coming into a meeting? Is it an attitude? And I don't mean positive or negative, like, oh, everybody ought to be positive. But like, let's just suppose everybody's going to be positive. They're going to have a good attitude. But the attitude I mean is like, is it one of informational? Is it one of reporting? Is it one of decision making, like you mentioned, or is it many different approaches?
I would offer 2 things: speed and execution.
Okay.
It's an attitude of execution. And that and honestly, going back to the original statement, you can't have that attitude without actual goals to hit or initiatives to meet. So it's speed and execution.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and if you approach that like, we're not just like trying to hurry up and get the meeting done, but we are going through this speed because we do have a business we're running here, Like, what do we need to do? Why isn't it done? What will we do between now and our next meeting to get it done? And how often do you think like one of these meetings should happen?
So there's meetings that should happen once a week to move projects along. And that's absolutely necessary, but good preparation can keep these meetings short. I don't believe these meetings should ever last a time. I meet with my team twice a week. One's a sales meeting, and one is an operations meeting. And we run those meetings exactly the way I just described. They tend to last 15. Longest they've lasted 30 minutes.
Wow.
Because everybody already knows what we're going to discuss, what they need to bring, and what they need to get done.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, in fact, it's kind of funny because sometimes, especially in our last one, we got it done in 15 minutes, and then there's a dead silence because nobody knew what else to talk about. We were done. So
What
it's
a
like, all
beautiful
right, let's
thing to
get
say.
rolling, boys. Right?
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's go. And and there's it also builds cadence into your business
Mm-hmm.
and speed and execution into your
Yeah.
business. But everybody, and the thing is if you think about it, these meetings that happen as you described, no one has a direction. So you got a bunch of people that are all going in different directions because they're not all pointed at a single goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big thing. That CEO or that head has to provide a vision, and everybody needs to own a piece of it,
Mm-hmm.
and all be working towards it, right?
Yeah. And it seems so. So the takeaway that I'm going to derive from our time together today is looking at the meeting as that's what prompts all the work I'm going to do this week, and lets everybody know all the work that I did last week. And so if I mean, the meeting is important for me because I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, because we got to the meeting, I prepared for the meeting, I go out and did it, and when the next meeting, I'm not afraid to be at the meeting because I can't wait to report and then find out what are the next steps.
Well, and that in itself adds time to the meeting. So I would say that I want to report on what I've executed, not the work I've done. I want to hear not about the work, but about the accomplishment, the goal that got accomplished. We talk about the work that went into it when there's an issue with the work and we need to overcome a problem. Otherwise, we just talk about the execution.
So when you mentioned just the execution, uh, maybe I was misunderstanding there. So I got this done.
I got
It's
this
been
done.
accomplished.
It's been accomplished.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
On track, off track. That is, it's that simple. It's like, okay, I don't need to know about every little task that's involved in that, and that you did this, and that you did that, and that you did this. Okay, that's more ego than it is getting things done. What I want to hear is on track, great job, it's on track, or off track. Okay, what is our issue? And by the way, I should already know about it and not be finding out at the meeting.
Mm-hmm. I'm smiling because most people,
if it's off track and you needed help with something, then you should have reached out to me so that I can help push you through, because I want to help you be on track in the meeting. That's my job. My job is to help you get it done on time, provide you the resources and the tools. So don't wait till the meeting to tell me you're off track. Tell me ahead of time. And then if we need to include the rest of the team to overcome the problem, that's the discussion. That's partially the discussion in the meeting. We should be at decision point. Because if you tell me you're off track and you have a problem, you should be coming to me with 2 solutions. And if you can't figure out 2 solutions, then you should be engaging the rest of the team to get some insight to try to figure out what those solutions are going to be. And then once we get into the meeting, we're all educated on 2 or 3 solutions and we're making a decision. That's what speeds meetings up.
I was smiling because when somebody gets into that monologue, they're like reporting on it. Yeah, but I would have got this done, but then they start to give the excuse, and then that makes it doesn't compress time, because you said on track or off track. If it's off track, here's the reason, here's the story behind it. Or, hey, I'm on track, and this is the whole details behind how I got on track this time, because so there can be a story and a dialogue on that. That the last thing I think I'd like to ask is that something that the moderator has to control? Is that something that, like, hey, we are just reporting on track or off track right now?
Yeah.
Where we don't get into the story.
So a couple of things. It takes 21 days to change a habit. Mm-hmm. You are not immediately going to change the way the meeting is. However, from a change management perspective, you have to set the stage. You have to control the meeting. Mm-hmm. So as the moderator of the meeting, you will shut people down. You will change the direction of the conversation so that it all focuses on the goals and strategies to get there in the meeting, and you don't let it go anywhere else.
And as a result,
my favorite word is, let's put a pin in that.
Yeah.
And move on this way. Mm-hmm. And you'll hear me say it in a million meetings. Now, somebody needs to be taking minutes, because the other thing you do not want to do is, they're important. It's not that they're not important. They're just not in the right place right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we need to put that in. Maybe it's a new business item, and we'll discuss it in the new business. So let's put a pin in that, and we'll discuss it during the new business section of our meeting. Or let's put a pin in that. It's for the operations meeting, and we're talking about sales right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or let's put a pin in that. That's a really good idea, and it might be a good initiative for next quarter. Make sure you put that over in the quarterly planning bucket. Yeah. For our quarterly planning meeting, so we can plan out the initiatives for the next quarter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as a result of the moderator of the meeting doing their job, it compresses the time like we wanted to have it, and to where the people, even if you had to shut me down because I was getting into into this monologue, I was telling this story, this narrative, I understand, yeah, I was going there again, and yeah, we need to focus. Like, I appreciate it, because I'm going to be out of this meeting a whole lot better, because the ultimate role, what we're trying to do in this episode, is to help your meetings not to suck.
Yeah. Well, it's the difference between a romantic comedy and an action movie. In your business, do you want it to be a romantic comedy, or do you want it to be an action movie?
Yeah. We're going to get some results. We might blow stuff up in the process.
That's right. You might blow it up in the process.
Good stuff, Paul. Thank you so much. I loved you playing the consultant and me, the challenged business owner. Well, actually, not business owner, but the challenged
the challenge administrator. How's that?
Yeah, there exactly. I was in the C-suite somewhere.
my meetings have gone awry. I need some help. No, good fun, good stuff.
Yes,
good stuff.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So
great.
All right. That's it for today. Thanks for joining Pivot Point Live, and we will be back next week with another fun topic to discuss.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.